Now, okay, so how to remove cabinet doors, hinges. I'm going to be taking them off the back of the door, but you got to get into the paint. You have to, because it prevents the Phillips head from taking it off. The screwdriver, it packs in the paint and the screw, then it wants to strip out. So I'm going to show you a simple, easy way to avoid this right now. All right. Turn this around. Okay, it's not doing it. Here we go. Bear with me. All right, so there it is. All right, so I'm going to take the tip of this knife, okay, right in the center, and then just wiggle it. Okay, and then work it. Going right into that Phillips groove. All right, then I'm going to catch it in this other direction. Press down, wiggle it. Okay, kind of lightly spin it. Okay, work the edges. Okay, it takes a little work, but it's better than fighting it and having to cut it off. It's much, much better. All right. Now you can remove this first. All right. Now we can see where those grooves are a little better. We just kind of work in there. All right. Just going to get that picked out. This is a pain. 20-year-old paint. At least 20 years old. Okay. And this way you don't strip out the screws. Otherwise, it becomes a problem. You've got to get like a tap out. Get a tap that grabs in here, and it doesn't always work, and you're still in a position where you're fighting it. Now, by the looks of this, I may be able to get the screwdriver in there and take this out. So I'm going to have to put this on my tripod. And so bear with me as I get this set up. Got to get it on the tripod, all right? Okay, now let's zoom in here when you can see it up close and personal. All right, so now I'm going to find the edges here, get them lined up with the drill gun, okay? Now, once you get it lined up, I'm pressing down on the top of my drill and I'm turning this back and forth. Now, if you can press down and get the head of that screw to turn, then you're going to be okay. But let's see. I'm thinking it should work. All I'm doing is twisting my drill with my hands. All right, I just got it to turn. Can you see the movement there? All right. Now press down and turn. Just slightly, just quickly pull the trigger. All right, it's turning. Okay, you hear it slipping. Okay, you do have to put a fair amount of pressure to get that out. Let's look how much paint's left in there. That's a fair amount of paint, but I had just enough in there for the tip of this to catch. So let's look at that. You can also see the white, the paint that's on there. So if you come in here, you see it was able to grab just enough to get it to turn. All right, on the screws that were mounted into the hinges that was connected to the face frame, sometimes you had to get more paint than this out of there. Sometimes I had to pick it pretty clean, just depending how tight the screw was into the wood. All right. Now, by the looks of this here, it's like I'm going to have to do the same thing. All right, now I have another knife which works a little better here. Okay, now this one is flexible, okay, which makes it a little bit better. But again, let's zoom into this. All right, you can see paint's just about filled it in, just about. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to clean this. Get the paint off the top, with the surface of that screw head here. All right, now I'm going to stick this right down in here. This is more flexible. See, this will move, and it actually will grab and work a little better than the other knife I was using. So more flexible, the better. Can spin it, then work this edge here. You can see the paint lifting out. Okay. Now, let's see if I can break this. Because if you can get it to move just by twisting the drill, you're good. All right, let me show you what I'm doing. Let's zoom out. All right, now I'm finding where it's locked. I'm taking this and I'm just, okay, I'm turning this and pressing down and I'm turning. And if I can get the screw to turn, then I can get it out, and it just turned. All right, so now, and that's all I'm doing is I'm turning the whole body of the screwdriver, of the drill. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and turn it on quickly, pressing down. There it is, done. It's out. Okay, using the knife, this technique with this knife, and like I say, this is a flexible knife, and it's really thin, as you can see, and it being flexible really helps to get in there and help get the paint out. All right, this is off. Okay, this one's already out, and this just pops loose just like that. Okay. Now, I'm going to continue with this next one. I'll demonstrate again. If you haven't seen my other video, my first one, which is the one before this one I videotaped yesterday, and I was wanting to demonstrate this hinge removal, because it can really be difficult. You can strip it out, you can end up fighting with it and taking a whole lot of time. All right, I'm pushing down firmly, removed them from the face frame, these cabinet doors. And so I have the video from yesterday showing you how I used my knife, and even a big sewing needle, or like an upholstery sewing needle, straight one. Because it's just difficult to get these out. And if you don't know what to do, it can really be overwhelming. You don't want to drop your door on the floor, don't beat it up. Now, being able to take this drill, finding, this has already been removed, okay, finding the edges, okay, by pressing down. Okay, keep this straight up and down, press down and turn, and keep your eye on the screw head. You can get it to turn, break its grip, you're good. Okay. Now, what I found with the screws on the face frame, they're a little smaller screw, and you got to pick it out. Matter of fact, let me show you the difference between the screws. At least on these. These are over 20 years old. These cabinet door hinges and doors. All right, now, this is the one that went in to the face frame. You can see the head is rounded, kind of mushroomed. And these for the back are flat and bigger. All right. So these are a little bit more difficult to get out. The ones that go in the face frame, they're smaller altogether. All right. So as you see, if I were to put, or when I put the knife in there, you have just enough room to work it. Just barely enough room with the tip of this, which makes it real difficult until you know what to do. Okay, so that's why I clean off the head first, so you can see the what I'm calling the grooves for the Phillip. All right, and you push this in there and you work that groove, spin it around, work it, spin it, work it, and you just keep working it and picking this out. All right, let me give you one more view of, this is a screw for the, goes into the cabinet hinge to the face frame. Okay, and then these are both the same. Those are two of the same. Here we go. Here's the one for the back of the cabinet doors. All right, you can see quite a bit bigger. All right. So these are a lot easier to get out. You got to put quite a bit of force to get, once you get it grabbed. Now, like I say, you can push your Phillips in there and then turn your drill and get it to break. Once it breaks, it'll come out no problem. And that's the way you test it so you don't strip it. Okay, so if you can get it to break, you won't strip it out. Now, if you can't get it to break, you need to clean these grooves out a whole lot more. And you can get them completely clean. Just be patient. It's worth your time because it's going to take a lot longer if you strip it out. All right. So now I got this other one to remove. Oh, thanks for being here. I just noticed. Thanks for the thumbs up. Comment so I know who's visiting, who's hanging out here with me. All right, this one's already cleaned out, but just to press down, work it, spin it, work it. See, and you can pick out the paint just a little bit at a time, okay? But it makes a big difference. Okay, now that's probably enough. Let's see if I can break it just by taking my drill, putting it down in the Phillips, getting it to lock, work it back and forth, getting it to lock. Okay, then I'm pressing down and I'm turning. And I'm getting it to break. I'm going in the wrong direction. It's okay. Yes, I just got it to break. You see it turning. So it's going to come right out. There it is. Okay. And as you can see, these are quite a bit bigger than the screws for the face frame, because those are tiny. All right, and you just pop right off. Okay. Well, thanks for hanging out and for checking this out. I'm hoping that you've seen the process, and it's going to make a difference for you. So it's all good. Now the other thing I like to do, I just prime these doors. And in the place of sanding, you can take the lumps, the bumps out of your paint. This is like a 1-inch chisel, and I'll work this. Come over to the other side. All right, anything here you can take, and this isn't super sharp. Okay, that'll smooth it out. And when I go to paint, all I got to do is lightly sand around this edge and taper it, do some feather sanding, and when you paint it, you'll never see the transition. Okay, and this isn't super sharp. This is somewhat sharp. Okay, but for this application, I don't want it super sharp at the moment. Now, I will go over it with the sandpaper. If you don't know how to do the taper sanding, I will show you how to taper sand, and it eliminates the start and stop. You don't see the edges. You don't even know, if you sand it right, feather sand it properly, that you ever scraped here or anything. It just covers it right up and blends right in. Okay, and this is how it's looking. It's kind of feathering it out now a little bit. Okay, so let's go ahead and get the other side. Okay. Now, if this was an ultra sharp chisel, you don't go forward with the sharp chisel. You press down, run it at about a 20-30 degree angle, and pull back. And that's how you scrape with a sharp chisel, is you go backwards. So you can also reverse it and come backwards, and you have a super sharp chisel. Because otherwise, when you go forward, it's going to dig in and gouge your wood. Then you'll be puttying, sanding, and creating more work for yourself. And depending on what you're working with, it could ruin it or cause you a whole lot of work. Okay, so because this is slightly sharp, I can get away with going forward. Okay, and this is prep for sanding. I'm just getting this ready to sand. So all I'm doing, getting all the heavy paint removed. Okay, I'm going to show you. I'm going to remove, you see this in here, all right? Those are little bumps, all right? And just by, you can see it taking it off. I'm flattening it out. And I'm removing those bumps and smoothing out the paint as I go. You can see in this area now where it's smoothed out. Now I'm going to go over slightly with sandpaper like that, about a 220-320, and lightly sand this to scuff up this paint here a little bit more and to blend it a little better, so when I paint over it, you don't even see it. And I'll be demonstrating on this here in just a minute. Okay, now I have some more here. Now that's paint, loose paint, but like right in here, I see little bits. It's all right. You can see all the little bits of paint and roughness. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and take this out. Okay. I can also catch it from another direction at a slight angle if you notice. Come back the other way. Okay. Now, you can see it's much smoother. All right, all little bits of debris and whatnot from the paint and the roller is now gone. And so when I go to paint this, it'll be much smoother and look a whole lot nicer. See, there's a little imperfection there. All right. Even if I got to stick it down, we're all right. Okay. I want these to look as nice as possible. Okay. As new as possible. All right, again, you can see there's some roughness in here. Okay, in this area. All right, we're going to go ahead and smooth this out. Now I had a painter supposed to paint, but so job I'm overseeing here, just helping a friend, but he bailed out, broke some things, messed some stuff up, and then bailed out. How sad. So I'm having to do this, which is okay. You know, I'm going to do a better job. Got to take the time to do it right. Don't matter what you're doing. Always take the time to do it right. You'll be glad you did, and you won't go wrong. And this will look 10 times better than it would have. So in the big picture, I'm a happy camper. Well, they say if you want it done right, do it yourself. That's a whole lot of truth in that one. It's a rare day for somebody to care as much about something as you do. That's kind of sad. Shouldn't it be that way? No, it shouldn't be about, oh, I'm only making X amount, so I'm only going to do, my work's going to reflect how much I'm getting paid. Meaning if I'm making a lot of money, I'm going to do a good job. If I'm not making a lot of money, I don't care. Wrong thinking. America wasn't built like that. People cared about what they did. Didn't matter how much they were making. They were going to do it right. We're going to do a nice job. But we're losing that. And that's a problem. It's a problem. People ought to care about what they do, no matter what they're doing or how much they're making. If you're doing it, it needs to be good. Unless you just don't have the skill to do it, then you have no business doing it on someone's house. Go learn at home. Make your mistakes at home first. And then you're ready. But we got to change up the way people are thinking nowadays. Yeah, don't appreciate that stuff in my chat. Don't put stuff like that in my chat. Don't put stuff like that in my chat. Okay. Clearing up a problem here. This person really messed up. Okay, now we are going to turn this around and get back to business. All right. Now, these edges, you can kind of lightly, where there's roughness. Okay, you can see the roughness down there. Just a slight angle, like a little 3-4 degree angle, 5-degree angle, and just lightly catch the edge with a semi-sharp or dull. And then you want to look at it, blade. Or you can hit it with sandpaper. All right. Okay. Now, I'll show you about the feather sanding now. Without further ado, get this feather sanding going. All right. Okay, now, feather sanding. What is feather sanding? You could call it tapered sanding. Basically, it's what you're doing. All right. You just kind of take this edge and you work the edge. Okay. All the way around it. You just kind of feather it back. Sand it back. Okay. I'm sanding back in this area back here. All right, not just on that edge, slightly on the edge. Okay, so you want to catch this inner edge, and then you feather, and you slightly sand back, coming back. Come to the edge and sand lightly, then bring the sanding back. So it's a feathered sand. Okay, you're feathering it out. You're tapering your sanding. Now I'm catching the whole thing. Okay, but then I'm catching right back here on the back side of that edge. Okay, so it kind of thins it out, and so you paint, you don't have an edge, and it allows the paint to flow right over it, and you never know that you had this big gap. You don't see it. All right, it'll disappear. It's called feather sanding. It's a tapered sand technique. That's what you're ultimately doing. Okay. And so here I'm going to catch this whole area. It's small. All right, my finger kind of overlaps that spot, so I'm going to just go ahead and catch this with my finger to get the inner edges and start the feather sanding process. Now that I've got it basically doing that, okay, I'm going to go ahead now and start catching the back side of that here. Okay. Okay, so not looking too shabby. Okay. Can't see everything here that I'm doing, but you do see a fair amount of it. Now I can also feel, do I feel an edge? Okay, I feel more of an edge right here, which you can see. Now if you don't feel an edge, if you can slightly see the edge, and you don't feel it much or barely feel it, then you know you're good. Okay, that's feeling and looks way better. All right, now feeling pretty decent. Let's give it a little more. Now I want to come forward with that. Okay, that just lifted right here. I don't know if you can see it. I'm going to... Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and catch it. I've got a light medium pressure, as you may be able to tell by the sound. Okay, not too shabby. All right, now we're going to feather sand around this hinge. Okay. And the nice thing about this, the hinge is in the back, it's not real visible, but you still want it to blend, you still want it to look good. No matter if it's in your face or if it's not in your face, you still want to make your work as good as if it was going to be in your face. And it just goes back to doing a good job, caring about what you're doing. Okay. Now this is a 220 sandpaper that I'm using here. I'm just catching this back edge of the door, the cabinet door. All right, now catch this right here. Catch this edge. Cut all along this edge here. Now, feather sanding again. I'm going to kind of catch the whole thing. Now, now catch back here. Catch this edge. Okay. Now you can catch this here, catch this detailing right in here. All right, just by catching it here like this. Then catch it the other way. Okay. All right, now I'm catching it this way. All right. You can see it takes on the whole shape of that contour with this detailing. All right. And I'll just smooth it out really nice. You always want to shape and fold your sandpaper so that it will work with you, work for you. Okay. Okay, let's do this. All right. All right. Mark, hey, thanks for visiting. You can play this back and you'll see how I remove these hinges. If you check out my video from yesterday, the front of the hinges. The screws are a lot smaller, harder to work with, and more difficult to get out. But I've found that using a flexible steak knife works really well for getting them out. Yeah, you can do a playback, and you'll see these can be a real pain, these hinges, to get out of here. You know, these screw heads were full of paint. You know, you can see what's left. And using a flexible steak knife really helped a lot in getting the paint out of the grooves from the Phillips. If you have any questions, feel free to ask, hit me up. I'm sanding this over here. This is a corner cabinet door. This goes in here, then the other cabinet door closes against it. All right, I've got this here, this imperfection. I'm going to be sanding next. Okay, get this folded in there, and then hit it. Get it smoothed out. All right. So when you're doing these doors, you know, this is over 20 years old. You really want to make them look nice. Taking the time to sand them and getting everything smooth makes a big difference. And I'm going to spray them. And I'm putting some XIM conditioner into my water-based paint, which will help to take out, if I was using a brush, help to take out any brush marks or rollers or stippling from the roller. You can also use Floetrol. It's another brand of the same, basically the same thing. Although this XIM paint conditioner, it will thin the paint. Floetrol does not. XIM paint conditioner also adds some gloss to your finished paint, and I'll show you what I'm talking about right now. This is it, XIM latex conditioner. Okay, for all base and primers. Okay, it says this will treat up to 64 gallons of paint. It's like, what, $17, I think it was. Wasn't too terrible. Thought it was a decent price. And like I was saying, you can see it's kind of beat up right here. I'm going to have to do like a feather sand here as well. But it's definitely worth making your doors look as nice as possible, because the finished product, it'll look close to new, and that's what makes it worth it. You're taking old cabinets and giving them a facelift, you know. And these are going to be two-toned. It's going to be a gray. The panel here, the center panel, is going to be gray. Everything else is going to be white. And it should look really good when I'm done. Okay, I'm going to sand. You got to sand it back. Then you get a taper sanding. It's called a feather sanding. What I also like to do, I notice I have an old paint run, which I'll point out right there. There's an old paint run. Chisels work really good for removing the paint runs. You can pull it backwards to remove this. Okay. And with the sharp chisel, you want to go backwards with the sharp one. Okay. But you won't gouge your wood if you go backwards. Okay, now this is semi-dull. It isn't real sharp, which allows me to go forward in a light pressure. Okay, light pressure. Now it's gone. All right, now I can lightly sand and get that to, I've got this hard edge right here. You can see that real hard edge. So let's sand that edge down, and you'll never know it ever was there. Again, I'm taking on the shape of the detail right here, okay? Now, feels pretty good. Let's take a look at that. All right. Okay, now this area here, that hard edge is really fading. You see it, but it's getting less. And that's what we want. You want to just bring it down. Okay, I don't like this right here, so I'm going to take that out. That looks like it might be in the wood, but it's not. It's in the paint. So again, I like chisel for removing this type of stuff. And if it is in the wood, and maybe it is the wood where it's cracked. All right, I'm going to go ahead and flatten this out. And then I'll sand it. And I'll shape it so that it just disappears. Okay, now let's check this out. That was in the wood. Okay. I'll show you this in just a second. Okay. Now let me show you. Okay. So, shape this a little bit now. Okay. Okay. Now, the final touch. Okay. That'll blend it. This will blend it right here. And there you have it. All right, looking good. She's almost ready. Gotta do a bit more feather sanding right here. Okay, I think I'm going to go ahead and take this to the edge. You can see what's getting built up. It's raising up. So if I take it to this edge, it'll solve that. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and take it where it wants to come loose and bring it up to that edge. Okay, now you can finish the sanding now. Catch this here in the middle. Catch this over here on the side, on this outer edge. Okay, catch it back here. Pressure's away from the inner edge, although we're sanding the inner edge all at the same time. Okay, that's looking really good. See how flat that's getting and tapering. You can see the taper taking place. Okay. All right, I'd say that one's done. Fun in the sun. All right, now I will be removing some hinges right here, and those are cleaned out enough. I'll probably be able to drive the Phillips right in there, which saves time. I'm cleaning it out. If I can get this in there, get it locked in, and get it broke loose, like I was showing earlier. All right. Now I'm going to take this, and I got it locked in. It's now locked. Pushing down, and then see if I can't turn it. Yes, the screw's now turning. It's going to come out. There it is. Okay, and these screws on the back side of the doors, they are a lot easier to remove once you don't have to clean out the screws as good. Hey Zach, what's up? Thanks for visiting. We're going to do a little project. If you want to clean this out, and I'll show you, Zach, while you're here. You can also go and do a playback and see. Now this is a flexible steak knife. All right, it's flexible. And the first thing you want to do is you want to clean off the paint from the head. All right, then you push it down in and you wiggle it back and forth. Okay, you turn it a little bit, turn it again to the next groove, wiggle it, work it back and forth, and get the paint out of there. Okay, and you can literally pick this paint out of here. Okay, as you see. And that's what you do. Now, it's real important that you do that on the front part that goes into the cabinet itself, all right? These screws are much smaller. Now, when you push this down in the Phillips, to make sure it don't strip, you press down and then turn, And you can see I got it to turn so we broke its grip. And we won't strip it out. And it comes right out. Now the screws on the face frame that go in, I'll show you. Okay, this is the part that goes in on the face frame, and you can see that hole, it's much smaller than these holes. And this is much bigger. So it's real important that you clean these little ones out, okay, because they're a Phillips head as well. And sometimes you got to get all the paint out if the screws anchored really well. You want to use, like I say, using a flexible steak knife works really good for this, all right? Just don't cut yourself. Don't put your pressure on the blade and cut yourself here like I did. You know, put some, wrap some tape around the part of the blade that you're going to be putting your thumb on. That way you don't cut yourself. All right. Now, this is also ready, I believe. Let's press this down and see if we can get it to twist and break its grip. See the turn. See, I'm continuing to turn. And it comes out. Piece of cake. All right. Now let's see what it looks like. How much of this Phillips went into this screw? Let's just see. All right. So a fair amount of that went in there. You know, that's why it broke it free without a problem. Now you get this down in and you go to twist and it rolls and it spins. All right. And it comes out and it pops out and it spins. Pull this out and clean out the Phillips a little bit more, all right? Get those grooves cleaned out. And that way you don't strip out the head of the screw, because then it's a problem. I had to use a Sawzall and cut it, and that can really be difficult, and it takes a whole lot of time. Okay, they also have easy outs for these screws, and it's a kit, and those work and they don't work, and just a pain all the way around. Now, see, here you go. Here's some that are uncleaned. As you can see, I've got that first one cleaned out, but these others are not, so I'll show you. Okay, so I'll get this drill put down, and I'm going to take this. First thing I'm going to do, I should have tape wrapped around this, so that's where I want to put my thumb, okay? So first thing you want to do is clean out the head. Sometimes there's a lot more paint than that. Okay, if you look at my video from yesterday, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, so you get the head, you get the paint cleaned off here. You'll be able to see the Phillip grooves. All right. Now, we can see them. And I'm just going to take this and push this in here. Wiggle it back and forth. Wiggle it. You know, I'm literally just wiggling this thing. And now I'm pushing down and I'm pulling back. And that way you're digging out the paint little by little. Then I come the other direction. All right. And I wiggle it. And I twist and I turn and I dig out the paint. You can see the paint coming out here. All right, now it looks like I got enough paint out at this point. Some of that paint from scraping it off, but at the same time, you can now see I've got the paint coming out. Now let's see, it'll save me time if I can push this in there and get it to lock in, then I won't have to keep digging it out. So let's push this down, turn it to where it locks in, okay? It's locked in. Now, let's spin it. Can I get it to release? Let's see. I think I just felt it release. Here we go. See, that's what you don't want. You hear that? It's slipping. Okay, now, I'm going to press down on my leg. See if I can't do it this way. There we go. There we go. All right, it just came out. All right. There it is. And that's how much pressure I had, downward pressure. All right. And that's how much paint was left in there. It takes a fair amount of pressure, downward pressure, to get this out. Now, if you have any questions, Zach, hit me up. I'm more than happy to explain whatever here. Now, I'm going to see if I can't get this to break. If I can press down and let's get it to break, its hold, and it'll come out. Let's see. Did I do it? Yes, we did. Okay. It's on its way, Zach. See, it's coming up. All right, now, get this down in here again. Get this pressure. There we go, Zach. There we are. Got to get that downward pressure. It just wants to slip. See? And that slipping is what messes up and strips out the top. Okay? So you'll be very, very careful. Look at all the paint that was in there. Okay? This should have been cleaned out more, but it worked. If I couldn't have got it, I would have cleaned it out and made sure all that paint was out of there before I tried to remove it, because it's all about preventing it from stripping. Okay. Okay, we have one more here. This one's cleaned out really well. So I'm just going to press down and turn the head, turn it. I hear it slipping. All right, let me break it free. All right, I think I got it, Zach. Yep, there it is. We're getting it. There it is. We got it. There it is. Okay. They just pop right off. Now, we're going to feather sand like I was doing on the last one. You didn't see that process. And since I have this chisel that I sat down, okay. Now what I like to do is when I have a chisel, I'll take off the excess paint around this edge. It speeds up the sanding. Okay. Get you that angle. Okay, let's go back the other way. Okay, this is scraping away the paint. Well, just scrape that, didn't mean to do that. But it's all good. Okay. Now I'm getting ready to feather sand. Get that kind of cleaned off there, and get this kind of cleaned off right here. All right, now I'm going to put some pressure here on this inner edge. All right, but then I'm going to mainly focus back here, and we're going to taper sand. All right. First, I'm going to catch that inner edge. Okay, now my main majority of my pressure is going to be in this area back here and then further out. Feather sanding. It's more like it's actually you're tapering. It's a sanding taper, but it's called a feather sanding. Okay. I'm slightly catching this inner edge, but mainly back here in this back section. Okay, you can see the paint that's being removed back in here. Okay. And I'm going to work back in the section here. I'm also catching this here where I just scrape that. Okay. So I'm killing two birds with one stone here. I'm catching both pieces at the same time. I'm going to sand this all the way around the same way. Now let's feel. I want to feel this edge in just a second. Let's feel this edge. So you can see how it's fading. I feel a little bit more than I'm wanting to though. But we can see it beginning to fade on the edge, and that's what we want. And this is all so that when I paint this, you don't see the edge. So that it all blends in. That's the purpose. That way you'd never know. If you didn't know there was I changed the hinges, you'd never know it. Oh yeah, that's better, much better. Let's take a look at that taper now. Can you see the taper? It just blends right in, and that's what we're looking for right there. All right, and then that feels good too, right here. I want to sand it just a little more. Yeah, nice, nice. Now I'm going to catch this edge up here a little bit more. So I really didn't sand that. Okay, now you can see the difference. You can see these edges. You can see how this edge right here, this edge is totally different from this around. So these are all tapered back. This still has a hard line. It's still a hard edge. All right. Got that hard line going. So we want to feather sand this. Get right there on that edge and work that edge. And then sand back. Now, this is redundant, and you probably already figured it out, and you're being just nice and hanging out here because you understand, and I get it. So it's all good. I appreciate you being here. Appreciate you hanging out. I hope you're learning something. All right, appreciate you being here. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. We're getting the taper. There's still a little bit of edge here I'm not liking, I'm feeling, especially in this general area right here. All right, if you have any questions, put them in the, make a comment, and I'm more than happy to answer any questions. You're working on another project, maybe. Or you're going to start a project. Staining, finishing, tiling, whatever, you know. Well, thank you there, Zach. What type of work do you do? Are you a gamer? What kind of work do you do there, Zach? Appreciate you hanging out here. Hope you're learning something. I I'm trying to get my chisel. Okay, got it. Hey, Heather. I've been seeing some of your posts. Thanks for visiting, my sister. God bless. Oh, let me turn this camera around for a minute. Yeah, thanks for being here. If you have any questions about removing these hinges can really be a pain and trying and frustrating. Doing good. These are a real pain to get off. And the hinges and these nut screws in the front are small. Yes, God bless you too, Heather. It's good. I'm glad you dropped in. And my video from yesterday, I show you how I get off these little ones. It's the same process I use for getting off the ones in the back, but the screws in the back are, trying to get this in the camera. Why am I not in the camera? Okay. Are fairly good size. They're small, but they're fairly decent size. The ones on the front are tiny. Yeah, this is over 20 years old, It's old, but not that old, but paint on them, 20 years of paint and drying and, seasoning, getting hardening. Yeah, I've never taken off old hinges like this, so this was the first for me. Yes, God bless you too, Zach. Good to know you're a believer. I didn't know that. So Heather, meet Zach. Zach's hanging out here with me. He's been keeping me company. I haven't gone live hardly. Here lately I've gone live a few times. But I haven't been going live much. In the past I was going live a lot. But I haven't. I just started to go live a little bit here in the last few months. So anyways, I don't have too many people here, and Zach's hanging out, and that's nice. I appreciate it. I'm glad you're here. Like I say, I've been seeing your posts, and words of encouragement. Doing all the stand. We need to stand there for. Oh, 1925. I'm jealous. I really like to work on a house like that. I think it would be really challenging. You're welcome. I usually try to comment when I see your posts. I try to stop and leave a comment, as well as a thumbs up. I don't know if you see them or not, but that's not the point, But just trying to encourage you for being encouraging. They think it's easy to be encouraging. Not always. I know you know. So Zach, how long have you been a Christian there, Zach? And Heather, how long have you been a Christian, by the way? I was saved. Became a Christian. I was saved in 79. God got a hold of my life at a perfect time. Yeah, I haven't been on YouTube much. People that are stopping in, watching my video and commenting, which is only a few. I'm staying 20 years now. Right on, Zach. I wasn't sure how old you were. It kind of gives me an idea, sort of. So I haven't really been very active here on YouTube, other than just continuing to be consistent with my posts, But yeah, busy. That's yeah. Look, it's. I got to get this house painted, this kitchen painted. I'm doing a two-tone. The panel, the center panel, I'll show you, it was going to be gray. The rest of the doors will be white. Whoops. Yeah, the panel here, the center panel is going to be a medium light gray. Then everything else is going to be white and whiter than this. So this two-tone should look pretty good. It'll be a little different. I did see, I think on Pinterest, they had some, on older cabinet doors, probably more like what you have in your house. They had a gray border with the white center, and then there's other ones with the white center and the gray borders. They look really good. But with this raised panel, I think it'll give it a little bit more detailing. Here, I forgot, I did a test spot. I did a test panel. Now it's sloppy. It's not, you know, because when I do this, it's going to have to look really nice and professional. This was just a test to see what it would look like, to get an idea. And this is what I'm basically going for, is that look right there. There's the look I'm going for. And that's going to be all throughout. Okay. And then the pantry door, same thing. And then the light frame's going to be white. And so yeah, that's the look we're going for. And I'm excited about getting there. It's just taking forever. And yeah, definitely. And then the walls are going to be a gray. That's primer with a little bit of light gray on it there. There's the color of what the wall is going to be, a real light gray. But that's not solid, you know, that's primed, and I just put a little bit of gray on it. So it's going to be a lighter gray with a darker gray on the panel. So it'll be like a three-tone kitchen, 3 different colors. But anyways, I'm feather sanding. Do you know what feather sanding is? Have you ever heard of feather sanding there, Heather? Zach, have you heard of feather sanding? This was not supposed to be in portrait mode, but somehow it ended up there. Okay, well, feather sanding is what I'm doing. You sand right down on the edge, then you sand back, and it's like a taper. It's actually a tapered sand is what you're doing, but it's called a feather sand. That's the term. All right, now, the other thing I was showing Zach is I like to take my chisel, and this is semi-sharp or semi-dull, so which you can go forward. A sharp chisel, you'll gouge your wood. You cannot go forward with a sharp chisel. Okay, and what the feather sanding does, this gets off the heavy. That's what I like about doing this with the chisel. It gets all the heaviness out. It speeds up your sanding process. Okay. But anyways, like I was starting to say about the chisel, if the chisel's sharp, it's going to dig into your wood and it's going to gouge it. So this semi-dull chisel allows me to go forward that I wouldn't be able to do if it was real sharp. Okay. Now, if it was real sharp and I wanted to remove the paint, I'd have to come down at a like about a 15-degree angle or so, and then come back. Sometimes you want to come almost straight up and down with it, and then pull back. If this was really sharp, do not go forward. All right. Trick of the trade: you come backwards with the real sharp chisel. Okay. Now it will remove it as you see and you hear it taking it off. And you also want to like kind of go like at a slight angle too. All right. But sometimes I like to slice going across this way. But that's again only forward if your chisel isn't real sharp. Otherwise, you kind of go back. All right, now that I've removed some of the heavy. Hey, TJ, man, it's been a long time, bro. Meet Heather, meet Zach. Yes, makes a big difference, Heather. I used to do custom staircases. I was working on custom oak maple radius staircases. And before that, I was doing rough carpentry, framing houses and whatnot. TJ, man, where you been, bro? You kind of disappeared there. Totally, like, disappeared. My phone number's still the same. I don't know if you have it, though. I don't know if I have yours at this point. I've been through a few phones. But, yeah, Heather's a friend here on YouTube, and Zach is hanging out, and a friend. And so, are you putting up any content, TJ? Or are you just hanging out on YouTube? What are you doing nowadays, TJ? And how are you doing after COVID and all that craziness? So, all right, so let me get back to doing this feather sand. All right, so you come down here on the edge and you sand that edge. You get that edge down. Then you come back in this section here and you start feathering it out and taking it down. That way, when you paint, this edge disappears. The whole thing just blends when you paint. And you don't see the start, stop, or nothing. It just covers it right up. That's for feather sanding. Is for hiding imperfections like this in your wood. If I wasn't getting a hinge here, I could sand this whole thing and paint it. You'll never know that this hinge existed. You wouldn't be able to tell where it started or stopped or nothing. It would just disappear. And that's what feather sanding does. It allows you to remove an imperfection like this that otherwise would stand out. Okay? Now I'm working this area right in here. I've already got this edge. I'll show you this edge in just a second. And it needs a little bit of work, just a little bit. Okay, then I'm also going to sand back here further away. Bring it out, just feather it right back out. Okay? I'm going to show you this inner edge before I sand it so you can see the difference. Okay? Now, right in here I feel it a little bit. It's a little high right in this spot right here. This is better here, but I still feel a little edge. All right, that's a little bit thick. All right, right in there still. Now this down in here, yeah, still there. And definitely there. So I got to work this edge more. So TJ Woodworking, are you putting up any content? Or are you just surfing YouTube and saw that I was live and dropping in? See, I'm working the edge. I'm right here working this edge is what I'm working. Okay? And it looks like I'm going cross grain, but remember it's paint. I'm not sanding the wood. Okay, and remember a hinge is going to go here. But I'm not sanding the wood, just the edge. Yeah, much, much better. I'll show you that. Let's do a comparison of the edges. Okay, you see the taper here. All right, I can still feel a little tiny bit here, but nothing like I was. All right, then comparing it to this. That I'm feeling right here. And then this, can you see the taper? All right, see the difference. These two edges versus this edge. You'll be back soon. Okay, home improvement tips. I was out of YouTube for a while, bro. Oh, sorry to hear that. Very sorry to hear that. That's worse than a kick in the gut. Wow. Well, good. I'll be looking for you. Hit me up. Let me know when you get started. If you have my phone number, call me. I'll see if I have yours, when I get done with this. Okay, now I'm going to work this edge right here. And I'm working the whole entire, this is what I'm calling the inner edge, is this section right here. Yeah, if I have your number, I'll give you a shout. Okay. Now I'm working this, and I'm watching it. I'm looking at it as I'm sanding, all right? Now you can see the sandpaper, how it's really picking up the... Okay, thank you, Zach, for your question. I don't understand YouTube at times allowing... I don't either. Allowing because some YouTubers use... Yes, they do all the time, especially a lot of the gamers. And they don't... I don't understand that either, Zach. But remember, YouTube isn't Christian. There may be Christians working for YouTube or with YouTube, but not everybody's Christian in YouTube. As far as I know, it's not even Christian owned, which would make a difference if it was. Yeah, I don't either, but there was a time I had a very foul mouth, really bad. I was not a Christian, of course, and I was much younger. I was like 16, 17. And I grew up in church. Do you hear me? But I wasn't saved. I didn't know the Lord. But I got saved, and God changed everything. And I became a Christian at 18 years old. God got a hold of my life. He put Christians in my life. My brother became a Christian, and I was around Christians. I went to go visit my brother, and God used that time to get my attention and open my eyes, and all of a sudden the things I remember hearing in church started making sense, and God started speaking to my heart, and I repented, gave God my heart, trusted the Lord, gave him total control of my life, and that was when I gave him my heart, and that was over 30 years ago. All right, now I like how this is feeling, but now let's look at the difference. You see, it's tapered. It's tapered back. It's feathered back all the way around. I wish I could paint this right now and show you. It would disappear. You wouldn't see it. You wouldn't see it. As long as it's all tapered back real nice. Now remember, Hinges is going to go here. It's going to hide it. You'll never know it. But this would work if I had a bad spot in my paint and I had to sand it and you feather the edges back. When you paint over it, it disappears. You may need to give it a few more coats in that area. But other than that, that's all it would take is a few more coats, a few more layers to build it up. But yeah, that's tapered back really nice, as you can see. We'll catch it at these different angles. Okay, feathered edge. Okay, and here's another one you can see here as well. Where's the edge? See, if you put paint on there, it's going to disappear. Yeah, I did, bro. Bad words, big time. Not now. Yep, Jesus changes that. Jesus changes that, It changes how you think. Everything. I went from being miserable, hating life, suicidal, miserable. I went to church growing up. But what kept me from suicide when I was young was I didn't know if hell was real. I thought it could be. Probably was. Didn't know for sure. hope in heaven was real. Didn't know for sure, but I knew I didn't want to take a chance. And that's what I knew. Scared, as far as hell, didn't want to go to hell. Amen, my brother. I'm back in Christ. Amen. Glad to hear that. Brother died before he passed. Well, praise God. Praise God he did. Amen. That can put peace in your heart. Definitely. Yeah, so, when I gave God my heart and I understood it, God knew I couldn't be perfect. I knew I couldn't keep God's expectations. I knew that there was no way I could ever reach God's standards. And if there was a hell, I was in trouble. And if there was a heaven, I wasn't going to make it. And when I understood that God knew that I couldn't meet his expectations, when I understood that God knew that I couldn't be good enough, when I understood that that's why Jesus died, for all sin and fall short of his glory. There's no way we could ever reach perfection, become good enough. And that's why Jesus died. When I understood that's why Jesus died, because God knew that I couldn't do it, I'm going, wow, maybe there's hope for me after all. Maybe heaven is reachable, obtainable, But I didn't know the peace and the joy that was going to come along with trusting in the Lord. That I didn't know. I grew up being baptized about 3 or 4 times. Made you feel good for a minute, but it only made you feel good, and it was for a minute. But to know the peace and the joy and the purpose and the hope that giving your heart to the Lord gives you, holy smokes, man. It was unreal, unbelievable. It was really good and changed my life. Like I said, I went from hating life to enjoying life. Life was good. God is so good. Kind of like that song we sing from time to time. God is so good. God is so good. God is so good. He's so good to me and you. That's the bottom line. God is good. God's alive. He's not dead. And, God's good. Makes all the difference in the world. But how I think, what I do, how, it even, when I'm acting up, it even controls so it doesn't get worse than what it is. My flesh is, struggling, I'm angry or something, and I'm not listening. Even then, Jesus makes a difference. Jesus makes a big difference. Okay, hey bro, in my about page and text me. My about page and text me. I'll give you. Okay. Hey, well, thanks for hanging out, bro. Keep looking up. As I say, don't give up because there's always a way. And in Jesus, there's always a way. All right, bro, I'll do that. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for dropping in. I'm so sorry to hear about your brother. That's worse than a kick in the gut. That's painful. But Jesus is the healer, and praise God, he gave his heart to the Lord. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. All right, TJ, if you're still here, God bless. Keep looking up, and yeah, I'll do that if I don't have your number. I don't know that I do, but I'll check it and leave you a message on your most recent video, probably 3 years old. Whatever it is, I'll leave you a message. All right. Well, Heather, any questions, Heather? Any projects you are planning to do at your house? I'd love you too, bro. It's all about Jesus. Jesus, Healer of my soul, Jesus, I will never let you go. You shaping me from the miry clay. You set my feet upon a rock, I'm here to stay. I love you, I need you, though my world may fall. You'll never let me go, my Savior, my closest friend. I will worship you until the very end, because you're worthy and worthy of it. You did it all. It's all I can do. All right, Heather, let's see what you said. Just put up a privacy fence and a bull, and they built a trailer. Built a trailer this year. Yeah, lots of money out of pocket. Are you saying it's worth lots of money? Or both? Gotta take it easy. All right. Well, shoot. You should post some of your pictures of your trailer build. I guess Zach left. I thought Zach was still there. Unless Zach timed out and I don't see him. Yeah, most definitely. But if you have any footage of your trailer build, post it. I have a 60-something trailer, vintage trailer. I did do a video on the trailer. All right, is it on your channel? I haven't been there, so I don't know. You know, but if it's there, I will check it out. Okay, I'll go to your channel and I'll check out your trailer build. But yeah, I have a 60. I think it's a 60-something. Could be a 50. I'm not sure. Anyways, I haven't really shown it, but I bought it to sell, and I've just been so busy. I haven't done nothing hardly to it. It has a rotating fan, an old metal one. Sorry, my son was saying, oh, no doubt, bro. Yeah, I was just going to ask you, you know, how'd you get saved? You know, what's your testimony? What's your story? How did Jesus, you know, how did you become to know the Lord, if you don't mind putting it out here? And then if Heather wants to share that, you know, people can read the chat. Maybe they'll be encouraged, or maybe the Lord will use it to draw them, you know. One man plants, one man waters, God gives the increase. Hallelujah. If you want to share that. And if not, if it's too much of a risk, I get it. It's okay. But for me, you know, it is what it is, and that's just me, you know. I've been out evangelizing, you know, out on the street for off and on for years. I haven't done anything like that for a while. But yeah, I've been out street evangelizing off and on for a long time. Oh, I'm at 5% here. My battery's dying. I had no clue. It just dropped my screen. The light on my screen just dropped. So if you're going to want to share your testimony, go ahead, put it in the chat. Okay, you have some testimonies on the video. Well, if you want to put it here, put it in a nutshell. Tell your story, put it in a nutshell. Oh, Heather, I think I remember seeing your testimony when you uploaded it. Yeah, I mean, I get it. It's okay. God is good, you know. Your testimony is something, I know it's probably leaves you a little uncomfortable. I get it. And a lot of people, some people have a tendency to be critical and judgmental, and they stand before God for that. But I am really proud of you. You know, my mom went in the wrong direction and she never gave her heart to the Lord. I was a teenager when she went in the wrong direction. And so, you know, I think it's great. I really do. So, all right, Zach, I've got like, I don't know how much time left, but I'm running out of time here because my battery's dying as we speak. But if you want to put your testimony, put it in a nutshell, put it in the chat, and it will be there. Okay, good night, Heather. Blessings. Thank you for hanging out with me. Thank you for visiting. You know, I'll try to go live more often here. So, all right. Take care. Hopefully we'll meet again. And keep looking up. Maybe we can talk one day. All right. Bye for now. I'm going to shut up. I don't want to repeat myself. It's getting late. I think I should probably get dinner going over here. Over here. How. Hey, Zach, if you're here, I'm thinking you're here. It shows you're here unless Heather hasn't quite left yet. I don't know if you're here or not. Got a fly bugging.